Hey Pyrrho, so I've watched the last 6 or 7 of your videos about metaphysics in response to both me and Lord Immolation. Um, and, the title of one series of videos was called There Is No Metaphysics. And I think, you know, in your video response to me about the river and whether it or not it is the same river, you were already doing metaphysics. And, so I know you didn't literally mean there are no metaphysics, but your point was that if our metaphysics aren't based on perceptions, then they're irrelevant. They have no relationship to the only reality that we can know, which again is based in perception. Now you prefer to use this word perception. You've also used experience. I prefer experience just because it seems to be more primordial, more original than the term perception, though whatever word we use can be taken in a variety of ways, obviously. Um, but I think we both agree that philosophy, speculative philosophy, that is not based on experience is invalid before it even says or claims anything, because experience is all that we have. And what I hear you saying when you say that is that basically all philosophy must be phenomenology. It must not mistake abstractions for what is most concrete, for the things themselves, for the world as it shows itself to our experience. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that there are no metaphysics, though. This just means that um, the way in which metaphysics is done is changed. There can be metaphysics that 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 is phenomenological, a metaphysics that is phenomenological, because what it requires of us is that we speak from our experience rather than about it. And in that way, philosophy becomes more like poetry in um, a post-Cartesian, um, post-objectivist ontology, and a view of the world that isn't based in 17th century Newtonian mechanism, but has um, accommodated itself to the scientific, the empirical discoveries of relativity, of quantum physics, of complexity science. 20th century scientific theories about the nature of space, time, organism, causality, 20th century notions of these abstractions no longer support the Newtonian view of the universe. Materialism, the idea that the ultimate reality is an external world independent of our subjective experience, is no longer tenable, because we've discovered that our subjective experience, our actions as observers, play a crucial role in how reality unfolds. Now, I didn't just say that consciousness causes reality, or that I can move things with my mind. What I said was that mind and matter are inextricably interwoven, such that there is a pre-established harmony between these two poles of existence. Though, when we talk about mind, we're not talking about something visible. And so, rather than being an actual existing thing, mind is that invisible potential behind phenomena, behind what is immediately given to us, that allows for new possibilities to arise, and to arrive. Um, the mental aspect or pole of reality is that which is not yet real. but possible. The mind is what gives us access to ideas, which are ideals, possibilities that are good, that we desire. And whether they are good because we desire them, or we desire them because they are good, I think is a matter of, rhetorical preference, really. Because the root of both of those statements is the correspondence between mind and matter, the way in which they relate, the way in which what is given and what is possible are constantly constituting each other in an ongoing developmental process. And see, I've just made another metaphysical claim that there is a development or evolution going on, that the unfolding of the dance between mind and matter has a direction. It's getting more complex, more aware of itself. And so obviously if not explicitly, at least I'm implying that there is some sort of God principle at work, some underlying meaning or ultimate purpose that guides the becoming of nature. But of course, as soon as we talk about mind as something irreducible to matter, and I haven't said that mind and matter are separate substances, so just because I'm distinguishing between them here verbally doesn't mean that my metaphysics necessarily requires that they be separate substances, requiring nothing but themselves to exist. What I've said is that mind and matter definitely always require one another to exist. You never find one without the other, though they do exist in varying degrees with one another. We could say that the material component of any particular concrescence or event or thing, like a river, the coming together of everything that is the river occurs because, for more of a material reason than a mental reason. Because a river is basically the result of its context. It has very little freedom. It flows downhill. And this is unlike an organism, especially a multicellular organism with a nervous system, and especially an animal with a nervous system with more synaptic connections than there are stars in the known universe. That type of an event or a thing can or has access to much more of the mental pull of existence. It can foresee more possibilities than the water molecules that rush toward the sea. Now, still, the molecules aren't rushing entirely blindly, because what is gravity but the desire of matter to be closer to itself, to continue trying to relate to one another in that particular way. We've never had an explanation for gravity. Even Newton said that he wasn't explaining what gravity was, he was just offering a particular way of measuring it, of predicting the interactions between bodies as a result of it. What it was, where it came from, that's not what he was telling us. And we have theories. String theory is trying to unite quantum physics and relativity with a theory of gravity, based on my understanding of it. But it's unclear whether or not this theory could ever be tested, because the gravitron may be so small. I mean, small in a metaphorical sense, because we're not only talking about spatial objects here, we're talking